In this video, we're going to show you a story of this female great horned owl who gets this big old rat from her mate, and then she flies off and goes to a different spot and manages to get the rat stolen from her by a very bold raccoon. Here's the male first, and then the female is going to come take a gigantic rat from him. So the male takes off into the night, and I think where he's headed is maybe to go find her a spare rat in case she loses this one. That's one whopping rat there that she can't swallow whole. So she decides that she'll fly off across the creek to her favorite perch, and she'll eat it over there. So there she is up on the branch, and she's picking away at it for about 15 minutes, and finally she decides to leave and leaves the rat behind. Well, that wasn't a good idea. A raccoon comes up, but that also wasn't a good idea. I'll show you in slow motion here a little interchange that they had. He goes 360 all the way around. He almost got knocked off of that branch there, which is about 25 feet up off of a rocky creek bed. That would not have been a good thing to have happen to him if he had fallen from there. So while he's able to recover from almost getting knocked off, he decides that retreating is probably the better option at this point. And then here in just a second, you'll see a fox on the left side of the frame. And the owl comes in as that fox gets down on the ground in the creek bed, attacks the fox. And then shortly after that, the raccoon, who was apparently off on the sidelines watching, sees that the fox is trying to get the rat. Not going to let that happen. So the raccoon makes a pretty bold move, comes in, there's the rat, he's on it, and here comes the owl again. Well, he kind of sheds the owl away that time, but then here it comes again, hits him and almost knocks him off again. And this time, as the raccoon retreats, you can barely see he's got the big rat with him. So the owl is going to be irritated about that, attacks him again. And apparently the raccoon has been able to retreat to a spot that the owl can't fly into. So the owl's hanging out. There comes the male, just flew in. And now the raccoon makes a run for it. The owl attacks him again. And the ratless owl now hops up high into the tree where he can sit and watch. He then flies away, and where he's headed, this is the male. Here comes the female in just a second. And she's headed back up to the nest. As I mentioned earlier, the male owl decided it was a good idea to perhaps go pick up a spare rat in case she lost hers. Well, she did lose hers. And she comes in, she looks a little irritated with everything, but she gets her rat. This time she decides maybe it's a good idea to just go ahead and eat it up here. This one's small enough that she can just down it. Which is what she's going to do here. And that way she won't have any interference from raccoons, foxes, or whomever may be out there lurking in the night. So she makes pretty quick work of this one, and then she only hangs around in the nest there for just a couple of minutes after she's done. She does a little bit of looking around to see if she's missed anything down there in the nest, but then ultimately, about 90 seconds after this ends, she takes off into the night to parts unknown.